Very disappointed, and in the Premier League it's not a penalty, but here I have to accept that with the rules and obviously how consistent they've been, for example yesterday with Bayern Munich, I accept that this is a handball. What I incredibly fuming with is how the hell the penalty on Epps gets overturned in the manner that happened when it's not a clear and obvious error. And this changes the course of the game, and at this level, I'm sorry, but this cannot happen.
Have you had any explanation on that?
There's very clear explanation. The decision and what happens for a period of time, and the referee has to watch it 13 times. It's more clear than that. I think it's impossible, and yeah, we are all fuming about it.
We saw the reaction of the crowd and the Atletico bench to that moment. Do you think that had any impact?
That's nothing to do with that. I'm sure that they are very, very well aware of what the reaction is going to be. It's normal, that reaction. We need to apply the rules. The same thing that I'm saying, that they apply the rules on Ben White's penalty, that is difficult to accept, but it is a penalty with the handbook and what they say at the beginning of the season. Epps is a clear and very obvious penalty. That's it.
James, ESPN.
Can I ask, do you think the process of the use of VAR needs looking at in general?
I don't know. That's their job, and they have a process, and whatever they do, I'm sure they believe is the right thing. I have nothing to say that. I'm just saying I just judging the action and the manner that happened and the way it got overturned.
Garmish from Sky.
Mikel, you said you're fuming. Can you and your players now use that as fuel for the rest of the season, and in particular for the second leg?
Yes, but when you have fought so hard for 9 months to be in this position, I mean, that's another goal that changed completely the course of the tie. And it cannot happen. I'm sorry. We put so much on it. So much on it. This cannot happen.
Alex from BBC.
Hi, Mikel. Just on the decision again, will you approach UEFA or put a case forward about this decision not going your way?
I don't know. I leave that to the club to decide what's the best thing to do. Now they're not going to give us the penalty. That's gone, and that's it. Let's talk about football.
Tom Reach.
Mikel, can I ask you about Victor? Because he's come in for a lot of scrutiny this season, but it's his 19th goal, and he had a really strong first-half performance. Just some reactions to his display. Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think he had a very strong first half, especially when we were more dominating. You know that the Warwick is going to put the situation he created. He created the goal and the penalty, and he was ice cold to score it in the manner that he did. And then the second half changed a little bit. Credit to them, but as well a lot of things that we need to do much better, and I think then we changed that. With the changes, I think the game changed as well, and we finished on top.
Phil from PA.
Sorry, Mikel, just going back to the penalty, do you think that the referee needs to be a bit stronger? Because obviously he was told to go and look at the monitor, but he watched the replay 12, 13, 14 times and then decided to overturn it. I mean, he obviously still had the power to
I'm
keep
not
his
here
decision.
to judge the process. It's their process. It's a decision that is clear. Okay, stick to it because that's the rules. That's what we've been coaching the players to accept that. And when there is something different when you play in the semi-final of the Champions League and change it, it cannot happen.
Isan Daily Mail. Right there.
Hi, Mikel. How pleased were you with the way your team dealt with this occasion in this atmosphere? There was obviously Luro that was launched at kick-off. Grass apparently was a bit too long. Pitch was getting watered at half-time. So with all that backdrop, how pleased are you with the way your team handled it? I'm very proud. I said that to the boys. The way we handle any kind of context for 9.5 months is just remarkable. And I really value what they've done because I've seen some of the best teams in the world here fall apart and concede 3 and 4. And we didn't get the result that we wanted. And the way we planned the game, we wanted to win it. But at least it's in our hands, in front of our people, to be in that final, and in a week's time we're going to have the opportunity to do so.
Okay, last 2 questions from Spanish media. Firstly, then here.
Hola, mister. Buenas noches. Hello, coach. Good evening. I would like to ask you again, sorry that you answered this question in English, about the penalty. You said that there's a consistency in the Champions League. A handball is a handball, but you don't understand this being reviewed. So do you not think that in terms of the different competitions it's being called differently? Well, there was 2 this time around, and we've seen different criteria. And of course, Ben White's handball wouldn't have been a penalty in the Premier League, but it was a handball at UEFA, and we accept this because this is the criterion. But then what happens after that, I don't understand that. There was a clear contact, and they took that to the VAR, and they had to review it 13 times only to overturn the decision. Hello, Mikel. Beyond those plays and looking at the game as a whole, Arsenal were better during the first half, but they weren't created the chances. Are you happy with the 1-1 draw? Or do you think you deserved more? Or do you think the results could have been worse? Well, I think there's been many moments. It's just a privilege, and it's a great excitement to be playing here. The energy is great, the passion and the atmosphere in this stadium is brilliant. We've had times where we were superior, where we were better, and we should have been more clinical, and we could have scored more goals. We had 15 and 20 minutes during the second half where we were a bit better. Also, our merits, and then after the substitutions we went back to being the team we want to be. So again, this decision has changed the course of the game, but there were also other decisions that could have gone the other way. So everything's to play for in London. We are putting everything on the line on Saturday to win the Premier League, and then from there on we just will start preparing for the second leg. Good evening, Mikel. You were referring to this season, this week we've got in between before the second leg. You are fighting for the Premier League, and Atlético Madrid are facing a less demanding fixture. What's your conclusion for tomorrow, and how do you face the next game? What's important for you in this regard? Well, this has been our bread and butter during the whole season, 4 competitions, and at the end of the day we're in the Champions League semi-finals. We're fighting for the Premier League, so we just need to highlight the efforts the players have been putting in. We've seen this, a lot of players that are missing, are still missing, and we will be fighting on Saturday, and we will be Diego Simeone's press conference. Please raise your hand and we'll hand you the microphone. Hello, Diego, how are you? Mikel Arteta just said that the second penalty looks very clear to him and that he is very upset. What do you think about what he said? Well, I never give my opinion on my colleagues' statements. It's not the time to have an opinion on that. Hello, Diego. This was a match that had a bit of everything. The atmosphere was great. You struggled a little bit during the first half, and I don't know if you go away with the feeling that you could have had a better outcome in terms of the second leg. Well, I think the atmosphere was brilliant. It's very hard to come close to the atmosphere we saw during the beginning of the game. It was brilliant. It was marvellous. It was just a present to our crowd. It was great to be at the Champions League semi-finals. And again, it's very hard to be playing at the level at which we are playing. During the first half, as you say, we were struggling a little bit. We were trying to make transitions on offense. We had shots on target with Julian, great saves by the keeper. And then during the second half, I think the game was a bit more tight. I think the fatigue of the players became apparent. Again, they are playing a lot of games. The load is very high. They are fighting for the Premier League. They haven't lost a game in the Champions League yet. And again, this is just accumulating now. And I think during the second half, we were a bit better, closer to the box. We had some chances to score. And I think we could have created advantages, but the keeper also had great saves. Some of the defenders also had great clearances. We hit the crossbar once, and we didn't score the goal that could have given us an advantage. And in terms of what's ahead of us, this is extraordinary. We're going to London. We're playing Arsenal away. This is a team that has not lost in the Champions League yet. The excitement is massive, and we will go there and we will give our everything. Good evening, Coach. you didn't want to comment on what Arteta said about the penalty, and I wanted to ask you about the VAR and penalties. At the end of the day, we're at the Champions League, right? Well, in terms of the first penalty, I just gave my opinion, and my humble opinion is that the player feels contact on his back and he just drops down, and then again in the Champions League semi-finals, this could not be a penalty, but the referee understood it was a penalty, and then thanks to VAR, the second time round, we saw that the handball was not a handball, but it was called, and then the second one wasn't a penalty. So sometimes the VAR plays in your favour, sometimes it doesn't. Good evening, Coach. In such a tight game like today, Juliano was subbed off. Julian had to come close to the touchline. What is the injury situation here? Well, knowing the players, they will be back on Tuesday. I don't think there will be anyone that will not be playing on Tuesday. So I suppose they might be feeling some physical discomforts now. Again, we saw Julian dropping down after a collision with an Arsenal player, and then Juliano has a bit of an overload and he will be available for Tuesday. Good evening, Coach. I wanted to ask you again about some veterans like Griezmann and Koke. Griezmann was a MVP and Koke was brilliant. What do you think about them? Well, what we saw from them, leadership, talent, quality, I think as the game progressed they were finding the energy to try different things. I thought about subbing them off, and then I thought maybe not, because something ends up happening later on. I think Lookman's great game was brilliant. Offensively, he brings a lot to the team. But we are also working with such an important player and making him understand that his work offensively and defensively is really important. Good evening, Coach. You've said a lot of things that your team is better on offense than it is on defense, at least this year. In terms of this game, your game was very good. We could say that Arsenal haven't really generated that much danger. I don't think how positive this is at this point in the season and for next week. Well, yes, it's very clear that the players were very strong. Robin's entrance was very important for us, with Mark as a right back and Robin as a centre back. And then David, he made a great effort to come back. He has been sustaining a lot of pain on his ankle, and I think the team were more consistent. They were on top of what was going on when we had to sit deep and defend. And of course we are going to face similar situations or better ones to defend them during the second leg. And of course we just need to perform offensively, because it's being good on offense is very important. During the pre-match, Arsenal were said to be the favourites. They've been on the ball during the whole game and they only had one shot on target. Do you think this has been a turning point where Atlético made a statement to show that we are here and we are here to the second leg? Well, I'm very happy the way we came into the stadium, how they welcomed us, the energy, the excitement after having lost a final. Again, I just don't have the words to be able to thank the people for their affection, their gratitude. And of course, the team never lowered their arms, they never stopped fighting, they always overcome the adversities. And I think we struggled a little bit during the first half. We were not as good as we wanted to, and then we had the energy again during the second half with Koke, with Griezmann, with their age. It's just great to see that at their age, the players that were being subbed on were better than the ones that were being subbed off. So I think the challenge that's ahead of us is fantastic. This is something that's very exciting, and of course it's going to be very tough, but again, it's just great to have the chance to have such a challenge now in London.